WP, superhero fights crime as a part of a team, apparently with the ability to hit his target perfectly, with whatever weapon he shoots, or throws on the first try. In reality, he has terrible aim, and his actual power is to stop time. He goes through extraordinary efforts to maintain his secret. Had time to think about 1,000 variations of the hummingbird's beating wings. It was going to be close. I tweaked it just slightly one more time. The bullet would have about 1/100th of a second to slip under the bird, and if my calculations were correct, dip a fraction of a centimeter and begin its downward arc. My eyes followed its trajectory towards the control panel, and the glowing numbers on it. It would stop with just a single second left. I glanced back towards the entrance of the greenhouse at Lighting and Dynamite. They would be just behind me in the open door. My bullet would hit its target before they even knew what was happening. Take that, fastest man alive thought. My eyes returned to the frozen hummingbird. Sometimes, I wished I had never gone to check out the lab that night. My life had been pretty exciting before this, and I'd enjoyed working the beat as a local cop. The kids recognized me, the regulars respected me, and I could relax after work with a beer. Time had flowed, and I had flowed with it. Nowadays, it had a way of dragging on. Time was slow when you grew too familiar with its moments. Though I was more patient these days. The bird's feathers were somehow the colors of an iridescent rainbow. Idly, I wondered if I ought to go look up which species it was in the library across town. But no, I should probably make sure can stop the explosion. It had taken ages to align everything properly, to stop the Garner's plot perfectly with a single second left. Tiny tweaks over the last 12 hours, making sure they took the exact amount of time to get here at the critical moment. I'd found the greenhouse a few hours ago in real time. The garden I knew was running out the back entrance, and I wandered between the plants, considering how best to stop him. I examined his fearful face under the sun's light. He looked far less confident than the last time I had seen him. Maybe he was regretting his decision. Maybe I would let lightning take him out. He was pretty soft on crime. Returning to the front entrance, I began one final trajectory calculation. My satchel was lined with paper pads that were usually filled with the complex mathematics that helped every shot hit its target. Unfortunately, electronics didn't work when time was frozen, which seemed a reasonable trade-off. I put the pencil down and looked at the hummingbird again. Its feathers were beautiful. It seemed peaceful as it floated above the petals of a succulent-looking flower. I took a breath and changed position slightly to avoid the cloud of carbon dioxide I was creating, then returned to my work. The hours passed easily enough, as I was an old friend with the scratching of my pencil on the page. Again, everything looked like it was correct. I hid the paper back in my satchel and placed the knives, guns, and explosives on top of them. Walked back to the entrance and took my place in front of Lightning and Dynamite. Her eyes were lit with that fearsome energy that always took her in these moments. Her finely sculpted features were drawn tight with excitement as we burst through the door. Believed she was some Greek demigod or some such, but the library didn't have much information about her people. They'd been hidden in some other plane, apparently. I tried talking with her about it, but it had turned into a long story, so had just done my own research. It was hard filling the time between calamities. I much preferred when villains were plentiful, quick, and dangerous. When things could change in an instant, it was almost fast enough for me. Maybe I should talk with Dynamite more in real time. It had been a long time since I had dated anyone. How long ago? It must have been that girl old known in my old neighborhood. No matter how hard I tried, I couldn't figure out how many years ago that had been. I frowned. It hadn't been that long ago I knew, but it seemed like forever. Almost considered trying to find a nearby calendar, but I decided wanted to see the look on Lighting's face when he burst in at supersonic speed to see my bullet stop the countdown. Extended my arm and aligned the gun with the bullet I had just fired. A second passed. Walked out into the greenhouse where Lightning was frozen. The control panel was a mess of sparks and wires. His face was distorted with disappointment and excitement. This was even better than the time they'd stopped Dr. Cold. I took out a pad of paper and began sketching it.